everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. Can't wait, as always, to get into these questions. Here we go. Question number 1. How was the Army celebration on Saturday? What was your favorite part? Well, first of all, I thought this was awesome. I am so happy that we are celebrating our United States Army. Well deserved. We would not be a country without our Army. In case you aren't aware and you weren't paying attention, on Saturday to the parade, the Army was founded a year before America was officially founded because we needed our United States Army to fight the British to win the war that gave us our independence. So very cool parade. All the tanks, all the history there. I loved all the kind of historical uniforms where you could see what people wore in World War I, World War II, like all the different battalions and groups of these soldiers marching. I loved whenever President Trump, as the commander-in-chief, did like the swearing-in ceremony for some new soldiers. I thought that was very cool. And I loved his speech. I liked how brief but how strong it was too, because I think that's what we want to see in a moment like this. There's stuff going on all over the world, right? We need a strong America. We need an America that says, don't even try it with us. It is peace through strength. We saw that. We saw the strength. We saw the muscle, at least that is one branch of our United States military, the Army. We saw that on Saturday at this parade. I took my kids, Eric and I both went, obviously. We took the kids. The kids didn't last the whole time, I'll be really honest. It was hot. They were hungry. And, you know, after you've seen a couple of tanks as a kid, you're like, all right, what's happening with this? But they stayed for, I'm going to say almost 2 hours. They hung in there. Didn't make it to the very end, to the end of the speech, but that's okay. They had a great time. But I thought it was great. And I think it's so appropriate that we start celebrating things like that. I'll tell you what, anyone who was upset with the price tag, I think it was like $40 million or something, that went into that parade. Think about the recruitment that we're going to see. The recruitment spike has already been huge with Pete Hegseth as our defense secretary. That was a several hours long advertisement for the U.S. Army. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired to join the Army or other branches of our military, which we're also so grateful for. So it was great. It was fun. Not a single mention, by the way, from my father-in-law that entire day about his birthday. We had to keep reminding him, honestly, that it was his birthday. And I thought it was very cute that there were a lot of people out there who were singing happy birthday to him as the parade was first getting started. So it was a great time. Happy to be there, a historic moment. And I'm just happy we're celebrating, as President Trump says, our victories because we should. So thank you to the U.S. Army. Okay, question number 2. Ooh, I like this one. Tell us more about your love for riding horses. When did that start? Aren't you just born like this? I think I was just born like this. And I'll tell you the evidence I have for that, because I got another one who was born like this. It's my daughter. God, I've loved horses like my whole life. And anyone who loves horses and has spent time around horses knows that once it's kind of like in your blood and you start riding horses, it's hard to get rid of that. I just want to be around them. I know some people are going to be like, this is disgusting. I like the smell of horses. Yeah, I said it. I like to go in a barn. Horses are like big dogs, and I think people are pretty aware of my dog obsession. I got a house full of them, can't get enough of them. But horses have their own personalities, and they're fun and they're funny. And yeah, there are these, 1,000-pound animals. And what's so cool is when you get on a horse and you connect with a horse, and, you probably have seen, whether it's dressage or show jumping or anything like that, you've got to really be connected with your horse. And so you've got to work in sync with one another, because they don't just go up there and do that by themselves. That is, it's a team effort, and it's so fun. And I'm hopeful that this summer, while I'm in New York, I get a little bit of time to ride horses. I know both of my kids are chomping at the bit, to use a horse expression. See what I did there? Yeah, to get on a horse. So we'll report back on that, I think, very soon. Okay, next question. Is Barron interested in running for office someday? Oh, well, that'd be a question you're going to have to ask Barron. Here's what I can tell you. our entire family loves this country. Our entire family has seen the really bad, but also the really good side of politics. The way that, one person can positively impact the rest of this country. I don't think that's lost on Barron either. He was in the White House with my father-in-law, with Melania, at a time during the first term when maybe people weren't so nice. Not that they're all nice now, but I think you kind of learn to deal with it. And he was kind of young then. I would say that he, of our family, may be less likely than others to potentially get into politics, but I would never say never. I'll tell you this about Barron. He's incredibly smart. He's on top of everything. And this is, he's sort of like the next generation. So I'm curious to see ultimately what Barron does. He's already made some big moves. If you follow anything crypto-wise, you know that Barron's involved in that. He's doing stuff with my husband, with my brother-in-law, Don. So, stay tuned. We'll see what happens. I would never say never to anything for any Trump. So you never know. As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't just stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dream bed sheets. Any size, any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and California kings, any size, any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 1-800-624-3945, use promo code Lara, or go to mypillow.com and make sure you use the promo code LARA for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dream Sheets, any size and any color. Number again is 1-800-624-3945. Next question. Why do Democrats support and defend criminals? It's a great question. Why? Well, I think you're referencing the support for illegal aliens who are criminals here in the United States. That is something we can't take part in. Look, we have to have borders to have a country, first and foremost. And if you cross our border and you do it without going through the appropriate process, you have broken our law. And that's something we can't just let slide, because you let it slide once, you let it slide twice, you let it slide, 20 million times. And at some point, people are going to start taking advantage of that. And it's going to become a big problem for this country. Couple that with gangs, with violent criminals, with people who committed heinous crimes like rapes and murders being here. It's a bad thing for the entire country. And you go around the country and you look at some of these sanctuary cities and you see the evidence there that things are not working. People are scared to, conduct just basics of life day to day because they, don't feel like they're safe in their communities. So why do Democrats support and defend them? You're gonna have to ask these people. I would say the reason they initially wanted to support this whole scheme, and I will say that it's a total scheme, total plan here, was because they thought that, okay, we just facilitate the entry of millions and millions of people into this country, and then we remind them who's got their back. Democrats with the sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, all this nonsense. They'll be our voters. We're going to just kind of abolish any identification necessary to vote in our elections. And, we've been kind of fudging things the whole time. And that's putting it very nicely. I was the RNC co-chair. I saw a lot of things that were incredibly nefarious that had happened in past elections. We rectified a lot of that in 2024. Shout out to the RNC and our whole team there. But they thought for a long time, I think they're just going to get away with this. And I have to imagine the reason they allowed this to happen was because they thought these people would be voters forever for them. Doesn't seem like it's going to work out that way, because you have states like California who are trying to get on the ballot for their upcoming election voter ID. Imagine the way that's going to change things. Some states require it, some states don't. Every state has their own voting laws. And it's tricky to navigate, but we could do it. We could get every state to have voter ID laws so that when you go vote, you have to show identification. You have to confirm you're a United States citizen, that you're a registered voter. And that takes the wind out of their sails to quite an extent. But I don't know. I don't know why you would want to aid and abet people who are dangerous and who are hurting our entire country. You'll have to ask a Democrat. Okay. Final question. How do you instill a sense of patriotism in your children? What do you believe is most important to teach the next generation of Americans today? Well, first of all, I think it's most important to teach true history. I hate that we have this revisionist, nonsensical history. If you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. And that is what history tells us, right? Yet you have a lot of people who don't want to give the real history. They want to go in and cherry pick things. No, you got to give everybody all of it. They can handle it. People can handle it. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm saying that we've learned from the mistakes of the past here in our country, and we don't want to repeat those again. So let's not fudge history. Speaking of fudging things, let's make sure we're actually teaching our children what really happened. And, how do I instill a sense of patriotism in our kids? I think they learn it by example. They see us, Eric and I, celebrating America, loving this country, talking about why this is the greatest country on earth, why we're so grateful to live here in the United States, why they're so lucky to be born here in the United States. And, whenever you love your country, you stand up for your country and you fight for your country. And I think the goal for a lot of people who want to knock America is to basically ruin this country, break us down. When you have a generation of Americans who hate this country and are told that it's terrible and it's whatever it is, racist, this, that, and the other, then they won't fight for it. They won't stand up for it. We are not perfect. We are always evolving and we're changing and we're doing things better now than we did 249 years ago, for sure. But, I think kids overall are looking at their parents and looking at oftentimes their teachers and the people with whom they're closest, and they get a sense of whether or not they care about this country and the way they talk about this country. They see their grandfather standing up for this country, and believe me, they're paying attention. They're 5 and 7, but they're paying attention. And, July 4th, we have a great celebration this past weekend at the Parade for the Army. We talked about it some more and talked about America and why we're so proud to be there. So I think that kids are always watching and observing and absorbing everything around them. And so I think the best thing that Eric and I do is just lead by example, show them how much we love America. And I think they're going to pick up on all that. And I think we should have more of that in this country. So I hope everybody out there is doing the same. All right, that's going to do it for us for this episode of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning. Make sure you send us more of those questions. These were great today. You can post under this episode or, of course, on any of our social media sites. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow, and we will see you back here next time for more of Lara Trump Wanted for Questioning.